Makerspace. According to the Oxford Dictionary, a makerspace is a place in which people with shared interests can gather to work on projects while sharing ideas, equipment, and knowledge. This usually occurs within the STEAM field: science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Where did makerspaces originate from? The digital makerspace is a result of hackers and programmers in the 1990s in Germany, which evolved to Fab Labs and hackerspaces in the early 200s, which spread in Europe and North America. The makerspace movement was influenced due to the launch of Make magazine in 2005. This makerspace movement expanded due to the magazine's Maker Fairs a year later in 2006, which presented a venue for the makers to showcase their creations. The movement was further endorsed by former President Obama in 2009 in his Educate to Innovate campaign, mentioning that the young should be makers of things, not just consumers of things. This was taken a step further in 2014 when the White House hosted a Maker Fair. He also declared June 18 to be National Day of Making. The current state of Makerspace. Google Trends shows that the search term Makerspace has quadrupled in the past 2 years and is currently in the highest rate of growth in search frequency. So the learning environments in which it is currently being used are schools, universities, companies, libraries, and some are mobile and are used at a temporary basis. So in a public library makerspace, it was used to help bring the underprivileged youth in the area into STEM education. Therefore, an event was held at the public library aimed to address the issues of underrepresentation of African Americans in STEM professions. Mobile makerspace. This example shows that makerspaces are not always stationary. Sometimes they are mobile and temporary. The pop-up makerspace was put up aiming to give students in a residential hall access to maker tools and technologies. These technologies are 3D printing, crafting tools, and a variety of electronics were available for the students to use. Makerspaces and companies. Many companies such as the Technological Institute in Denmark, Autodesk, and IQB use makerspaces. So the most common tools available in companies are 3D printers, laser cutters, Catronics, CNC mill, and vinyl cutters. Companies such as Tech Shop offer a makerspace which work in partnership with educational institutions and companies such as Ford, Fujitsu, and others. Makerspace for engineering students. So an activity with 44 engineering students from Laguna University was designed in order to increase the creative competence in engineering students. Schools such as Indian Trace Elementary School in Broward County in Florida use Makerspace so that students are learning without turning to the front of the classroom, and that so they are directing their own learning. So issues related to the makerspace trend. There can be many challenges faced regarding the makerspace movement, the obvious being funding, since there is a difficulty of operating on a tight budget and concerns of making financial commitments such as purchasing, maintaining, repairing, and updating costs. Therefore, sometimes existing technologies are outdated. Perhaps this is the reason why Tech Shop filed for bankruptcy earlier. A common challenge regarding makerspace is when failure occurs. In this context, failure means when the maker does not achieve his desired outcome. However, the maker should always use this failure as an opportunity for creativity. Another study shows that the demographic played a role when discussing concern. The study showed that the males participated far more than the females, except in robotics, where the females used them 52% in contrast to 50% of males, in which it's a close call anyway. There also seems to be a demographic imbalance regarding makerspace participants, since 45.5% of the participants are white, 21.6% were Black or African American, 8% were Asian, 0.3% were Native American, 1% were of Hawaiian or Pacific Islander descent, 6.7% were more than 2 races, and 16.8% didn't fall in any of the categories. Of all participants, 18.9% were Hispanic or Latino. Santo et al. 2015 states that the 3D printers within a school makerspace were used by students to download model files, which caused long queues of students waiting in line to do so without really learning much from doing this. This also results in logistical challenges for others to use the 3D printers for more meaningful purposes. According to Santo, another issue faced regarding Makerspace was in managing the space and keeping everything tidy. This was especially a challenge when the users were irregular and do not work in the space on a regular basis. Overall, makerspaces can be used to add value to learning. Makerspaces give learners the opportunity to experiment and tackle challenges with a hands-on approach which promote 21st century ISTE standards. These include being a knowledge constructor, innovative designer, computational thinker, creative communicator, and global communicator. So the affordances of makerspaces allow for these students to be met if executed purposefully. So these are the images cited